What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Double D Report. It's me and Dean. Obviously, we're back. We're going to talk about the championship games, and then we're obviously going to dabble in other sports like we said in the previous week, which are finally following through with what we said. I know, it's shocking, it's on me, but we're following through with it. Dean, obviously, you did better than me with the picks and the Super Bowl prediction, so I would like you to start because my sadness is just starting. It's starting right here. It's going to keep on going.
Yeah, I mean, because you're a piece of shit, and we all know this, and it shows, week in and week out. But that being said, I'm going to start with just my pick straight up. I did take the Eagles -6. I thought this was a layup. The Washington Commanders had a great week against the Detroit Lions, and nobody's denying that whatsoever. However, the Lions were playing third stringers in the defensive front, so I kind of just expected the Eagles to run rampant on them. They did. The Eagles scored over 50 points. Saquon Barkley had just an absolutely phenomenal game, as he always does. The Eagles' offensive line was stellar once again, not allowing anything to happen to Hurts or Barkley for that matter. They wound up steamrolling the Commanders, way surpassing that -6 mark. So that was an easy dub for me. My loss, technically, was Bills +1.5. However, if you look back at the clip, I did say that they were still going to lose the game. I'm going to take Bills +1.5, and I think the Chiefs win the game by 1. So I was correct that it would be a close game. The Chiefs only won by 3. However, it's still a cover, so good for the Kansas City Chiefs. However, my Super Bowl prediction is correct. I chose Eagles versus Chiefs. I know nobody in this country wanted to see Eagles versus Chiefs again. We just saw it 2 years ago. And people, for lack of a better term, are kind of sick of the Chiefs, and everybody besides Eagles fans hates the Eagles. So this is really one of those scenarios within the U.S. where, you have your pocket of Eagle fans, you have your pocket of Chiefs fans, and then everybody else is just hoping for a meteor to strike the earth and end it all.
Yeah, I'm just going to root for the meteor.
Going to be an interesting Super Bowl. However, I did go 1-1. I did correctly predict the Super Bowl matchup. I'm feeling pretty good, Derek. I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm going to go. I'm going to speak in a very monotone voice because I'm very upset. I'm going to start off with the Commanders game. Commanders and Eagles game. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan. I'm very happy. But I genuinely thought it would have been a closer game for some reason. I don't know why. But then seeing on TV, me being happy, like, oh, let's go, my team decimated them. And then thinking in the back of my head, my spread is fucked. So, obviously, great win by the Eagles. I feel like the only reason why the Commanders lost that game is because the Eagles made them turn the ball over. The Eagles, and they scored off of their mistakes. Off the Washington mistakes, they scored. And the Eagles didn't turn over the ball, which is what you need to do to go to the Super Bowl. I did say the Eagles were going to win, though. Then they were my NFC pick. But moving on from that, I'm going to speak about the Bills game. Fuck Patrick Mahomes. Fuck Andy Reid. Fuck DeAndre Hopkins. Fuck Travis Kelce. Fuck Taylor Swift. I hate them all. I hope all of them fall down a flight of stairs.
This is the wise words of a salty man, ladies and
All right,
gentlemen.
it's not salty. It's just annoying seeing the same team every fucking year. Obviously, they're a dynasty, whatever, because they're fucking quarterback and the coach, best duo in the fucking I've seen in my lifetime, like fully seen. Obviously, I saw Brady a little bit, but I'm not counting that. But it's just one thing I will say, as a legacy game for Josh Allen, subpar, in my opinion, because I feel like he didn't do more than what he could have.
Look, we spoke about this. This was, the quote unquote legacy. Like the following week was the legacy game for Lamar Jackson. We thought going against the Bills to get that next step. This time around, it was the legacy game for Josh Allen. I'm going to disagree with you. I thought he did enough to bring them over the hump. I mean, 237 yards passing, 2 TDs, not to mention, his rushing game on the ground where he had another 39 yards. This was just the classic case of the Bills just can't get past their Goliath. And it sucks if you're Josh Allen, who now goes to 0-4 against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. This is a tough run for him because arguably he is the best quarterback in the league who just happens to be in the league during a time of a dynasty where the Kansas City Chiefs just don't want to lose ever.
Yeah.
So it's tough to say, but hey, at the very same point, this is a legacy. This was a legacy game for him. But in similar situations, I think this was a little different than Lamar Jackson's situation, only because Lamar did have a couple of turnovers in that game. Josh Allen was pretty flawless in this one. However, both of them got fucked by a drop, right? Lamar Jackson got fucked by a Mark Andrews drop in the end zone for a 2-point conversion to send it to overtime. Josh Allen, if anybody watched that fourth quarter, if anybody watched that last drive, right? The Chiefs and Spagnuolo sent out an all-out blitz on this motherfucker. And he stepped back and had the wherewithal to throw it in the vicinity of Dalton Kincaid, and he should have caught it.
I agree.
On fourth down. So, look, I'm not going to put this one all on Josh Allen because he still played a good game, all things considering. However, the legacy is on the line here, and you're continuously losing to this team now 0-4. It's it's a stain on your quarterback career.
Exactly.
You gotta win. You gotta win.
Don't get me wrong, regular season, if it was only regular season games, he's good. When it comes to the playoffs, he gets spanked. Lots of people are even saying this, and it might be fucked up for me to say, but Patrick Mahomes is Josh Allen's father. He owns him.
Look, we have this in sports all the time, right? Where there's two great players, but one of them just can't get past the other one, and that's pretty much the definition of their legacy, right? But some quarterbacks sticking with the NFL route, some quarterbacks still did it. Like Tom Brady was that guy, and the Patriots were that team, back 10, 20 years ago now, over that decade. Peyton Manning had a tough time getting past him, but when he did, he won Super Bowls. Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers had a tough time getting past him, but when they did, they won Super Bowls. So, if you're Josh Allen and the Bills and Bills fans, this is it, man. If you ever get past the Chiefs, damn right you better start feeling good about yourself going into the Super Bowl because you're good enough. It's just this team is there.
Exactly.
And they are a brick wall.
But the one thing that does benefit them is that all of them are getting older. Like, if you look at their roster, the Chiefs are only getting older. Like, Travis Kelce will probably retire in the next 2 years. Or maybe this year, after this year. It's good. I'm just saying it's good for all the other AFC teams to where in the scenario with, say, the Patriots, they were pretty much young going up with each other.
Look, I understand that perspective, right? But it seems like forever. Patrick Mahomes is still only 29 years old.
I know. I'm not saying him. I'm just saying
Travis Kelce, you're correct. Will probably retire in the next couple of years. Who knows? Maybe if they win the Super Bowl this year, he retires at the post-game speech. There's a possibility of it, right? But at the same time, like that Patriots team, it's like they constantly have people coming in, right? Like, look at their young receivers, Worthy. Look at their young running back, Pacheco. These guys aren't going anywhere anytime soon. And I don't think Andy Reid's going anywhere anytime soon, as long as they keep winning and as long as Patrick Mahomes is still there. So they're not going to go away in the next 5+ years. They're going to be there every single year. These AFC teams, like the Ravens, like the Bills, they just got to find a way to win, man. It's easier said than done, obviously. I get that. But my God, when you're as great as a quarterback as Lamar Jackson is and Josh Allen, you got to win.
Yeah.
That's their legacy right now, losing to Patrick Mahomes.
It's sad. Like, I feel bad. I genuinely feel bad for them.
I don't feel bad, but at the same time, I recognize that there's a lot of time left in their playing career.
Yeah.
They're not even close to done. So we're going to be seeing these battles for years to come, which is exciting as a football fan because of how great these matchups are and how great every single playoff game is. None of them are blowouts, which is awesome. So we'll see in the years past, but the bottom line is Kansas City Chiefs going for that elusive NFL first-time three-peat.
All right, Dean, before we move on from this game, I have to ask you a question. And It's a question that everyone was wondering during the game.
Okay.
Was Josh Allen's run a first down?
Yes. I mean, look, if you look at different angles, I realize his back is to the ref. I get it from certain angles, so you can't, correctly think. This brings us back to our exact point that we had weeks ago, Derek, where the NFL has to implement goal line and first down line technology
Yeah.
to have this
Like
shit.
VAR.
Like soccer does in VAR, like tennis does with their ball lines. This is shit that should be implemented for this exact reason.
Hmm.
So that instead of squabbling over stupid arguments like this on whether he got the first down or not, we would have a definite 100% answer on it.
Yeah, because watching the game, like, obviously from seeing it, like, by the play-by-play and not seeing the instant replay, it didn't look like he got it. It initially didn't look like he got it. So in my head, I was like, all right, he didn't get it. I see the instant replay. I'm like, motherfucker, that ball's over. It just it makes no sense to me though, because you're 100% right. Like they need like a VAR technology, which I 100% agree upon. But it's when one ref is coming in like this, and then the other one is coming in with the first down, pretty much.
That's where this sport is still barbaric, right? Where you still have fucking a chain gang on the sideline determining 10 yards. This is the NFL. They make billions of dollars. They can invest in a technology, a stupid little chip to put into a football in order to accurately depict where the player ended up.
Yeah.
This is not hard. This is not rocket science.
No, you're 100% right.
So, and this should be a perfect example of it to the NFL that they should at the very least, if they're not already, look into this sort of technology because it's needed.
Yeah, the Bills should just be. They're adding rules pretty much. They added the fake fix to overtime. They're gonna fix this. Oh no.
Well, at the same time, look, it's making football better. So I'm not gonna, completely disarm it at all.
Yeah.
It just sucks that the Bills are on the losing end of almost every single one of these.
It's actually tragic. It might be a curse.
It could be. Maybe Josh Allen has to sacrifice Haley Steinfeld in order to win a Super Bowl.
I'll take her. I think everyone.
Good luck with that one.
I know. All right. Well, we're gonna spiral back to the last division, the first game of the championship game, because I need to ask you a question. I have my opinion, but would you say the reason for the Eagles going to the Super Bowl is mainly Saquon Barkley?
I would. There's other reasons, right? The Philadelphia Eagles are a very good football team, right? You don't score 55 points with just Saquon Barkley. And you don't hold the Washington Commanders, who were a very prolific offensive team this year, to only 23 points, right? So it's not encapsulating of Saquon Barkley. However, there are multiple games this year, even in the playoffs, specifically the Rams game, where if the Eagles did not have Saquon Barkley, they are not making the Super Bowl. So you can make the argument very, very stoutly that he is the sole reason of them making the Super Bowl, right? They scored 55 points. He still had 120 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. On the ground, right? I spoke about this last week too. There are major factors that carry into this. The Eagles do have the best offensive line in the game. Right? That is the fact. That is 100%. Will fucking Shipley came into the game in garbage time and scored an easy 4 carries for 77 yards touchdown.
That's insane. I'm saying that's actually insane.
That's the testament as to what the Eagles' offensive line can do. And that's to what they have been doing. So I'm not going to put it all on Saquon Barkley. I'm going to say the sole purpose of the Eagles making the Super Bowl is their offensive line and Saquon Barkley combined. That's my take.
Okay. So, overall, obviously the Eagles' success, first of all, even besides Saquon Barkley, goes down to the GM, in my opinion. Like, if we want to be technical, it goes down to Howie Roseman. He brought him in. That's number one. But, obviously, Saquon is having a great year. He had a great year, postseason and regular season. He is a big focal point to us being great this year and going to the Super Bowl. But I do think the reason for the Eagles' success is because in previous years, because as you said, the statement is that we could put any running back behind that backfield and he could rush for almost 1,000 yards. Because that's how good the O-line is. Don't get me wrong, Saquon ran for 2,000, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
But I think at the main point, it goes down to the Eagles' defense. Because how I see it is that defense wins championships and defense wins games. What I saw on display in this championship game was insane. Bond forcing a fumble, Cooper DeJean forcing a fumble. It's just everyone in every aspect of the game is doing what they're supposed to. Jalen Carter, 314-pound lineman, is hurdling people. It's just, I feel like that our defense, don't get me wrong, they are getting praise because we are a top 3 defense in the league, or if not one. I just think that because how good Saquon did this year, it's getting overshadowed. But our defense is getting overshadowed in a way. If you got
The defense has been great. There is no denying that, right? You held the offensive rookie of the year and the Washington Commanders to 23 points when they just went off against the Detroit Lions. Once again, we're going to ignore the caveat that the Lions had third stringers out there in the secondary. But to that same realm, the Eagles were, and I'm going to give the credit to the GM where credit's due. The Eagles were in a unique position where not a lot of NFL teams have this opportunity where they had a complete team going into this past offseason, and Barkley was just almost that cherry on top, right? See, you're 100% right. I've explained it. The Eagles really could and can put any running back behind that offensive line. But when you add an even more dynamic running back in Saquon Barkley, and there's very few running backs like him in the NFL, it just added that much more explosiveness, that much more yardage per carry, right? I will say, though, at the same time, there are times he's not even touched until he's 10 yards down the field.
That's fair.
Which is crazy. Which, once again, is a testament to that offensive line and how insanely good they've been, right? Kelsey retires, immediately a Pro Bowler comes in to take his place.
Which is amazing.
It's really astounding how good they have been on the offensive line. So I do understand the defensive side of the front because I get it. But then you look at games like this where they won 55-23. The defense could have been mediocre, and you're still winning this game.
I don't know about that. I don't know because if the defense would have been mediocre, you got to think about some of the first of all, we got a fumble on the kickoff return by Will Shipley. Mind you, a running back got forced the fumble. So he forced the fumble, and we got it in their end zone. It's just the scenarios that we were put in to score on those drives.
I'm not saying the defense has to be fucking horrible like third stringers like the Lions had. I'm just saying mediocre. If the defense was like 10th or 15th rank in the NFL, I still think you win this game.
Do you think we go to the Super Bowl?
I still think you win a lot of games. Go to the Super Bowl? Yes.
I don't think so.
I do. I think your offensive line has absolutely carried this team in every single week this year. They have given you an opportunity to win every single week this year with the protection that they give Jalen Hurts, with the push that they give Jalen Hurts, with the running wide open gaps that you could run through for Saquon Barkley and Will fucking Shipley. Right? They leave gaps wider than Kim Kardashian's asshole. So, like, this is just a wildly talented offensive line, and they have carried this team.
See, that's the one thing I do agree with you on is the O-line, because obviously it does get I wouldn't say it gets underappreciated, but like no one's saying the O-line is the reason why they're doing good. No one says that. You either say Saquon Barkley or like certain players.
Yeah, but then you put Saquon Barkley back on the Giants. Sure, he gets like 1,000 yards, but then he's dead by the end of the year.
Exactly.
So that's how important an offensive line is, and it is a shame that they're so underappreciated in almost every single team because they shouldn't be. They should have praise.
Yeah, but I think that's the one thing we can agree upon is that the O-line is a big factor, GM, and then defense and Saquon. But because I'm always saying this because so many people, even reporters, are saying like the reason why the Eagles are succeeding is because of Saquon, which I don't think is true. I think it's
because he's the flashy star getting $13 million a year. That's why. It's not flashy for an ESPN analysis to go on ESPN live and say, "Oh, that offensive line, man, that's really good." No, you're gonna fucking talk about Saquon Barkley, the moneymaker. That's just how it is.
Yeah, well, it sucks because that's how the world is nowadays. It's just money, 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 money. But
Sure.
hey, I just want to talk about a little bit of my happiness. And I'm going to
Sure.
go on to even a little more of happiness for both of us. Is the Dallas fucking Cowboys.
Yeah.
They did the unthinkable. They did our happiness. They got Mr. Schottenheimer.
Now, I get my proverbial ass kicked over needing people in my comfort zone. Without this thing being about me in any way, if you don't think I can't operate out of my comfort zone, you're so wrong. It's unbelievable. This is as big a risk as you could take. As big a risk as you could take. No head coaching experience.
We are an unserious franchise.
Thank you, God. I don't do.
Yeah, this is once again just straight up Jerry Jones arrogance, where he doesn't think he needs, one of those big old veterans to come in and do things. Like, I get it, Schottenheimer's been in your organization for some time now, so you have experience with him. But, like, this is not a sexy hire by any means. Is he going to tilt the tables in favor of the Dallas Cowboys? Probably not. You're still going to have to go out there and make a lot of pieces. If you're Dallas, not only do you need some sort of offensive help other than CD Lamb, you're going to need quite a few pieces on the defensive side as well. So, sure, you know what? Jerry Jones is a happy little old fuck now because he got his guy, right? He probably couldn't secure Shedeur Sanders. He probably couldn't secure Deion Sanders because he couldn't make the trades happen for Shedeur. Sucks to suck, dickhead. But he got his guy. It's the GMing where it's going to come into play. And as we all know, Derek, as Giants and Eagles fans, we have to hope that he continues to fuck up his free agency. And I have no doubt in my mind that he will.
Oh, this is the best thing in the world. And then even more happiness happened when I see Eberflus.
Yeah.
Ah, God bless.
Now the Eberflus one, I'm not turned off by completely. Head coach, he was fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Just absolutely fucking god awful, right? Defensive side of the ball, he may be able to do a little something, right? I think that their first order of business is obviously trying to re-sign Micah Parsons. Whether or not that happens or not, who knows? We'll see. I don't know. But I think Eberflus can maybe, give a more disciplined edge on the defensive side of the ball. If he ever sniffs anywhere near the head coaching plateau, oh my God, that team is dead.
If he's an assistant head coach, happiness.
Gone. So, look, the Dallas Cowboys are just the Dallas Cowboys of my generation. They'll always be decent. They'll never be great. They'll never make it past a certain point. And it brings me joy.
Yeah. And it's funny, it only took Jaden Daniels 5 months to get the same amount of wins as Dak Prescott.
Yeah, look.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to end that.
It is. All right. Well, after we just talked about the Cowboys, Dean spoke about last week. He wants to speak about tennis. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't know much about tennis, so I will be listening for 95% of it, but I do understand what he's talking about. Dean, take the floor.
Yeah, so I wanted to speak about tennis for people that don't know the first major for anybody who doesn't know tennis at all, right? There's 4 majors in a year, similar to how golf works, where there's those major tournaments per year. There's 4 major tournaments in tennis per year, and the first one just concluded this past week, which is the Australian Open for tennis. This was a phenomenal tournament. I mean, all of them should be phenomenal because you have the top players from, on the women's and men's side of it going at it. But there were some really awesome games in this. First and foremost, want to congratulate the 2 winners. Not sure if anybody knows this. Yannick Sinner on the men's side, ranked number 1 in the world, rightfully so. He went into the championship match and beat Alexander Zverev in straight sets. Just demolished him in every way, shape, and form. And if anybody wants a laugh, Zverev in his post-game interview came out and straight up said, "I'm just not good enough."
I want to thank my team. I mean, we're trying to do all the right work. I'm just not good enough.
I want to thank God for having me here, and I want to thank my coaching team for getting me to the championship. I'm just straight up not good enough to win these tournaments, which I respect that level of honesty. But my God, man, to have some confidence in yourself. Jesus Christ.
That's fucking hilarious.
That being said, if anybody did watch the match, he wasn't good enough in any of the sets, right? Jannik Sinner beat him in straight sets. On the men's side, for anybody who doesn't know, once again, it's best 3 out of 5 in sets. Sinner won 3 straight. So it was not, it wasn't exactly it wasn't exactly a barn burner, right? So I do want to give props to Jannik Sinner. And then on the other side of the ball, on the women's side, we had a first-time Grand Slam winner in Keys, an American. She has been there to the finals once before, lost, never thought she was going to get back there. She had to beat the number 1 in the world, the number 2 in the world, the number 10 in the world, the number 18 in the world, and the number 25 in the world, all on her way to winning her first Grand Slam final, which is ridiculously impressive. She beat the number 2 in the world in the semifinals, Iga Swiatek, and she beat the number 1 in the world in the finals in Sabalenka. So just an absolutely phenomenal run that she was on. I give her all the props in the world for sticking with it, because she's not even the best American in the field. Coco Gauff is, who got eliminated quite early, actually. So massive, massive props to Keys, who just had a phenomenal, an absolutely phenomenal tournament. But I did want to speak on tennis, because I think it should be a more popular sport just because of how exciting it is, right? One of the key storylines that Derek wanted to talk about, and for anybody who doesn't know tennis, you probably have heard this name before, though, Novak Djokovic, who is one of, if not the greatest tennis player of all time on the men's side, right up there with Rafael Nadal, right up there with Roger Federer, right up there with Pete Sampras or Agassi or whoever else you want to put up there, right? This guy had one of the games of his life where he beat Carlos Alcaraz in the quarterfinals, who, by the way, is 18 years younger than him.
Jesus Christ.
And in the prime of his career. And then, unfortunately, against Alexander Zverev, he had to withdraw or retire the match due to injury, which unfortunately just kind of happens with these tennis guys at old age, because flexibility and athleticism is such a key in this sport, where you have to run back and forth on your side of the line and do splits, basically, in order to hit these balls. So it's going to be curious to see how Novak Djokovic goes over the next couple of tournaments. Obviously, as I mentioned, he is one of the greatest men's tennis players of all time, and unfortunately, his time is looking like it's coming to a bit of an end.
I was just about to say, when do you think that this is one of his last tournaments?
I do. Just based on this, he's had a couple of major injuries over the last few years, and last year, not to mention, he completed the circuit when he finally won his gold medal in the Olympics. So he has won every major tournament that a tennis player could ever win. His career is done, right? So he has nothing more to prove. He tore his meniscus last year, and now this time he's having some quad issues, which, is big when you get to when you get to his age in tennis, because your muscles start to go. Same thing happened with Rafael Nadal. Same thing happened with Roger Federer. So I do think this is going to be, we're seeing the end of Novak Djokovic. I don't know if it's going to be his last year. Depends on how, well he's able to recuperate from these injuries. I will say this, though. I guarantee you, if not this year, 2026 will be his final year in tennis, which is sad. Because
I know he's huge for tennis.
It's a generation of players finally going into the sunset. Right? My generation had Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic. 2 of them are retired now. 1 of them's on the brink. And now the new generation is coming in. Alexander Zverev, Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Daniil Medvedev, all these different players are coming into the fold now on our side. Even a new form of tennis on the U.S. men's side. Taylor Fritz, Tommy Paul, really good young kid who made it very far into this tournament. Um, there's a lot of different avenues that the young tennis players can go, which is always nice to see. It's just sad to see that some of the older generation starting to retire.
One thing I will say, because obviously I saw a bunch of clips from like the tournament, which is obvious. It's a huge tournament that's going on. Is I believe his name is Ben Shelton.
Yes, one of the most prolific and exciting young Americans in the field now.
Purely, I'm correct me if I'm wrong. It's purely because of how hard and how fast the ball comes off the racket when he hits it.
Yeah, it's exciting to see because after Agassi, which was in the early 2000s, late 90s, the U.S. men's team really haven't had, top 10, top 20 tennis players. They were really dominated from all over the globe, whether you had, Nadal, Federer, Djokovic, Andy Murray, Stan Wawrinka, all these different types of players that were all international players. So now you do have this young cohort of Americans, as I mentioned, Tommy Paul, Taylor Fritz, not to mention Francis Tiafoe, and now Ben Shelton, who, by the way, Ben Shelton's only 22.
Insane.
But yes, Derek, his major thing is how hard he hits the ball on his serve, over 140 miles per hour on the serve. So this kid has a real chance to make some noise. He did make it, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know, he did make it, I believe, in this last tournament to the semifinals, where he did lose to the eventual winner in Yannick Sinner, in straight sets. In straight sets, mind you. So, look, he's still not there, but it's a great look for U.S. tennis because we haven't had a winner in so long. We haven't had, keep this into perspective, right? But the last time the U.S. men's team, think about this, the last time the U.S. men's team had a winner at a major tournament, in any major tournament, it looks like it's 2003.
Damn, I was bored. Holy shit.
Which is quite literally crazy.
That's
like
the
that,
age and that's the age of Shelton.
Like that shouldn't happen.
That's great. So when Ben Shelton was born, around that time, is when the last time they won.
Quite literally, Ben Shelton was not born the last time the U.S. men's had a winner.
That's crazy.
That's disgraceful.
That's
disgraceful. That's disgraceful for a country who prides itself on athleticism and being above and all the best in almost all sports. We're going to put soccer aside because we suck dick on the men's side. We're the best in the world on the women's side, but we're talking about men's just for a second. Because on the women's side of tennis, we've had great players. Serena Williams is arguably the greatest tennis player of all time on men's or women's. So we haven't had issues there. It's the men's side that's really just depressing. So hopefully this new wave of men's young U.S. men, hopefully they bring us a title within the next couple of years, which would be nice to see.
Come on, America, please. Last thing I want to say about tennis for now is, because I don't know this completely, did Serena Williams compete in this tournament or she retired?
Serena Williams has been retired for...
Safe to say, I don't know.
Serena Williams has been retired for coming up, I believe, on 10 years.
Nope. Are you dead ass? Is it? I feel like it's. Is it? No, her sister's been retired. Been retired.
Yeah, people forget Serena Williams is 43 years old, which, is young, but in the tennis world, that's
43. I dead ass. I swear on everything I own, I thought she was younger than that.
43. I mean, so she hasn't played a legit tournament. Serena hasn't played a legit tournament since 2020, right? So it's going on 5 years now.
Okay, so it's not that crazy.
I exaggerated a little bit. It's going on 5 years now, though. She had her child. She had a couple of injury issues. 43 is a pretty old age for any athlete when it comes to this stuff. So,
does she participate in just matches? Because I've seen her do matches. She just doesn't do tournaments anymore.
I mean, maybe she does celebrity matches here and there, but her playing career is pretty much over. That's why you do have these young American women too that I don't want to, completely throw off. Like Madison Keys, who just won the Australian Open. Phenomenal for U.S. women's. Coco Gauff, one of the most prolific U.S. women's right now playing, and I believe she's only 19 years old. So there's a lot of promise, and it's exciting to see. I encourage everybody who listens to watch tennis because it's an extremely exciting sport when you have the right people playing.
I will say this to be fact because I do need to learn. Is I will watch the next. I don't know when the next tournament is, but I will watch it.
Okay, we'll talk about it when the next tournament comes up.
I'm gonna need like a week in advance. All right.
You got it.
Obviously, we're gonna stick to the other sports, and we're gonna talk about something that happened in hockey.
Yep.
A big blockbuster trade happened in hockey. Miko Rantanen was sent in a pretty much it was a 3-team trade. Technically, to Dean's arch rival, the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yep.
Dean, I want your opinion on this trade. Was it a good trade?
Yeah, I think it was a phenomenal trade for both sides. For people who don't know hockey too much, Miko Rantanen was an assistant captain on the Colorado Avalanche, won a Stanley Cup with them as well. He's been loved by Colorado Avalanche fans, and a lot of people saw this as a shock. To be honest, there was no real rumblings about it. And also to be fair, the trade deadline in hockey isn't until March, so this was definitely a big hit to the hockey world where a lot of those massive trades usually happen around the deadline. I will say I'm not shocked by it. Carolina has been known to do this, and they did this last year as well, where they did an absolute blockbuster trade at the deadline to get Jake Gensel from the Pittsburgh Penguins. So they're used to this, and they felt they needed to go make a move. I will say I don't think this was the worst move for Colorado either. They got a lot of depth in return, and they got a lot of good pieces to go not only go on the first and second line to replace Rantanen, but the third line as well, right? And then you mentioned it, 3 teams, right? The only reason the third team was in this was to retain salary cap, which who gives a shit? So I thought this was a really good trade for both teams. Unfortunately, as a Ranger fan, the Rangers had to play Colorado and Carolina back-to-back games right after the trade, so we had to play them with their new players, and we, of course, lost both games. In terms of what this will do to the NHL, I think this is going to send a lot of shockwaves for one reason, specifically the Metropolitan Conference where Carolina resides. I mean, this was over a month out from the trade deadline, right? Carolina's not fucking around. They're going for it. So a lot of teams that are on the brink or who think they can compete are going to have to decide, and quickly, are we going to be buyers at the deadline? Can we compete with a team like Carolina? Can we compete with a team like the Panthers? Or, do we save it for another year, make some strategic trades, and try to build for the next couple of years? It's a tough situation. One thing I will say with Carolina is, same exact thing with last year with Gensel, Miko Rantanen is a free agent after this year. And the trade did not involve any sort of extension.
Yeah.
So this, once again, could be another rental for Carolina, and they gave up a lot in order to get this rental. And Carolina consistently comes up short when it comes to the Eastern Conference playoffs. So we're going to see they're coming up on do or die territory, because if they continue to come up short, not even in the conference finals, but in the quarterfinals, you're going to have start having conversations on maybe that the philosophy or maybe the coaching isn't good. So it's going to be very curious to see how they go. They have gotten off to a good start already with Rantanen in their lineup. Colorado's already gotten off to a good start with Nietzsche and some of the other players that they got in their lineup. So
Jack Jury.
Jury and Nietzsche. So it's going to be curious to see. I mean, we're going to speak about it more in depth as the season goes on, because if people don't know, there is no All-Star break in the NHL this year. It's being replaced by a 4 nations tournament.
I did not know this.
USA, Finland, Sweden, and Canada. Fire will be with NHL players will be going off in a tournament in replace of the NHL All-Star game. So it's going to be sick to watch the best players in the world battling it out for their country. And I believe there's only 5 or 6 games left for every single team until that happens.
There's one thing I will say is I do feel like obviously Russian teams have been like taken out. It does suck because the Russian hockey team would be fucking filthy.
It is. So they're for people, I'm sure people know because it's a global thing now. Russia has been banned from not only just hockey, international sports, but the Olympics as well. Not banned, but you're not suspended, right?
Indefinitely.
Until other global actions are done, aka the war in Ukraine, until they stop their humanitarian crises, all that shit, right? So, um, they have begun talks to try and get Russia or them back into the Olympics come the next Winter Olympics, or at least come the next Four Nations tournament. It's going to be curious to see how those negotiations go, because it's true. Some of the best NHL players in the game right now are Russian. Artemi Panarin. There's great goalies, Igor Shesterkin, Andrei Vasilevsky, my apologies. Not to mention some of the older guys like Alex Ovechkin. So it's going to be interesting to see how the years go on with those negotiations. I do expect that Russia to eventually return to the NHL fold and to return to the world fold when it comes to as well on the Olympic side of things. So we'll see how things go, but we're definitely going to be talking about hockey more. It's going to be awesome to see the nations face off and the greatest players in the NHL face off for their nation. So we'll talk about that as well. But yeah, huge trade over a month prior to the deadline, which is even crazier.
The one thing I will say, because you spoke about Carolina's aspect, for Colorado, obviously they played I believe they played 2 games, one against the Rangers and then one against the Islanders. Last night they lost to the Islanders. They got not blown out, but they lost by 3 goals. I think it was 5-2, I believe.
Yes.
So, one thing I will say though is like from what I've seen in hockey with Colorado, to be exact, they do like when the year they won the Stanley Cup, they made a lot of moves to get that team.
Colorado is one of those unique teams where their philosophy is straight up score.
Exactly. Yeah, no goalie score.
No goalie, not a lot of defense. We're just going to straight up outscore you every
Exactly.
night. And it worked for them in the Stanley Cup year because their offense was just short of unstoppable. And there have been teams who tried to replicate that. One in particular is the Oilers, but have not succeeded. So if anybody knows how to do this sort of philosophy where you just, fuck you, I'm going to score 6 against you every night, it's the Colorado Avalanche. So I expect them to still be active at the deadline as well, wherever they see fit to maybe, get a piece here and there. They've already traded for 2 goalies this year.
Crazy.
Not to mention this massive blockbuster. So a lot more moves to come, not only from the top teams, but I think a lot of the mid-tier teams are going to decide whether they want to sell or buy. So it's going to be very interesting to see.
Yep. Well, because this is not on the board that we normally speak about. I want to bring this up because it was on my mind. It's not one of Derek's thoughts, but it goes on to the NBA.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think he should be traded, or he should do what he should do.
Who?
Do you think LaMelo Ball should request a trade?
No.
See, all right. This is why I'm gonna disagree with you. Don't get me wrong, LaMelo. He's young. He's in his early 20s, and he's playing with a bunch of young players, with Mikal Bridges, Brandon Miller, and a bunch of other young stars. I can't say that's not true because there's a lot of young stars surrounding around him. But he's only getting older, and obviously his contract, I think it was 7 years for like $250, something. It was a good chunk. I think he should try to seek better chances because I don't see Charlotte getting any better anytime soon, in my opinion.
Well, Charlotte's a tough team because they haven't had a success in God knows how long at this point, right?
Exactly.
They got to find the right coach. They got to continue to, build up draft capital and hit on draft picks. They're one of these smaller market teams where they're not going to go out there and, buy a superstar from other teams, which is one of their downfalls. However, if you look at a blueprint similar to theirs, right? Similar to their market, look at Oklahoma City. They did it to perfection. trading all of their star players for picks, hitting on almost all of those fucking picks to have now a superstar on your team. On top of that, the coaching. It worked out for them. I don't see it. It's possible to work out. On the flip side of it, fuck LaMelo. If I'm a Charlotte Hornet GM, yeah, maybe I want to trade him. Maybe I want to get insane draft capital back. I mean, some of these players in the NBA, their demand is off the charts. You have players being traded for 3, 4, 5 first round picks.
Yeah, like when KD got traded a while
And
back.
like absolutely another one who may get traded this deadline, De'Aaron Fox, he's gonna get 3 first round picks
Oh, easily.
at least. So if you're a Charlotte Hornet GM, yeah, maybe you do hear offers on LaMelo. Maybe if somebody blows you out of the water with like 4 first round picks, yeah, maybe you discuss that within your circle. I think it's more or less on the franchise rather than LaMelo because, bro, if you request a trade, which everybody does now in the NBA, like the team is still going to do in their best interest because you're young and you're under control. It's not like it's not like you have a lot of power in these negotiations at his stage in his career.
That's fair.
So it'll be curious to see what happens. I mean, the NBA deadline is going to be very active too. Jimmy Butler is 100% going to get
Gone.
traded.
Gone.
De'Aaron Fox is now the absolute blue chip stock on the market. I'm curious to see where he goes. There's been a few rumblings on where he could be traded. It'll be interesting to see because a few teams could definitely use a point guard, such as the Los Angeles Lakers.
So I say that.
So we'll see where things happen there. But I mean, not to mention the Pelicans could completely blow it up, and they have a lot of good players: Zion, Ingram, McCollum. So it's going to be curious to see. We're going to have a very active
Which I do like to say. I'm very
Yes.
happy because when there's a lot of trades going on in the NBA, it's a lot of big trades. That's the one thing I can say about the NBA that not other like sports do is like when there's a trade, they're big trades. KD's getting sent over. James Harden's going somewhere. Paul George is going somewhere. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a trade no one fucking expects out of nowhere because it happens every year. Which is
one of the teams to look at, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but if you're talking like absolute surprises, it's Golden State.
I know.
Like not buying. I'm saying selling.
Yes.
So a lot of storylines left. I mean, we just hit the halfway point of the NBA season. We're a little bit over the halfway point. I believe, a lot of teams have played anywhere from 42 to 47 games. So we're right around that mark. And the trade deadline, pretty similar to the NHL, going to be around late February, early March. So it'll be fun to see, but yeah, that was a good question, Derek.
The last thing I want to say about this with LaMelo Ball is, like, say I see him fitting on like a Pelicans team, to be exact, like a team that has like a good team built around, but is missing one piece and is willing to give up their future capital to get him and try to go to the championship. Because in the NBA, I feel like the West is not always a given. The East is normally a given as I see, but the West is always a coin flip on who's gonna win.
Yeah, it's very strange. The East is usually like the top 3, maybe 4 teams that kind of just steamroll everybody else. Last year it was the Celtics, and then previous years it was usually just between the Celtics and Milwaukee. So yes, I agree with you. There's not a lot of parity within the East, and it's looking pretty similar this year, where you're going to have Cavs, Celtics, Knicks, Bucks, and that's really the only ones who could really advance when it comes to the East. You're right. The West has so many different outliers, like the Clippers, who are in the 6th seed, could easily make a good run if healthy, if you have a healthy Kawhi. The Lakers could always make a run just because you have star power there. The Nuggets, never discount them, those champions.
Memphis.
And then you have 3, I don't want to say shocking, but very young 1, 2, 3s in OKC, Houston, and Memphis. So lot of variety when it comes to the West. So I agree. Yes, you can definitely make things happen in the West with one piece here and there.
So, well, I'm glad that we spoke about the NBA, and we will be speaking a lot more about the NBA because it's getting bigger and bigger as it goes to All-Star break and
Yep.
more shit going on in the NBA. But
Yep.
we need to trail back a little bit and go not to your segment, which is mailbag, but you said you have a question for me.
Yeah, so no particular mailbag this week. There wasn't that many great questions. However, we did get one that piqued my interest, so I'm just gonna straight up ask it to you, Derek. Dean from New Jersey over here. How you doing? Um, in you can choose two or three teams for each side. This is
Okay.
up to you. We're going to the baseball side of things. We're flipping all over the
I
place. I
like it.
love it.
I like
This
it.
is awesome. Who do you think so far? It's not over yet, the offseason. Who do you think are the winners and losers of the MLB offseason so far? You can choose one big winner, one big loser, or you could choose a couple on each. I'm gonna leave it up to you, and then I'll give my 2 cents as well.
Okay. Obviously, one big winner, I hate to even fucking say it, is the Dodgers.
Yes.
Big loser. I'm going to go to that. I say Baltimore,
Okay.
honestly.
Yep.
Because
Love it.
they're such a young team. Like, their team is
Yep.
young and good. Obviously, we only saw a little bit of Mr. Jackson Holiday. We saw Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rushman. They had past tense Santander. Corbin Burns had past tense. It's these small market teams who won't spend the fucking money. If if they just put out a little more money with a team that won the division 2 years ago,
Yep.
they could win the division again. But they're stupid.
I completely agree. That was one of my big losers of the offseason, right? This is a team that, not to mention, by the way, did switch ownership groups.
Idiots.
And they said they were going to spend money. Well, I don't see the spending of the money,
Fucking
right?
dumbasses.
You did win the division 2 years ago. You even made the playoffs this year as the number one wild card seed. The caveat here is, in both situations, they did not win a single playoff game in either postseason. So there needed to be changes. They had major free agents this year, such as Corbin Burns and Anthony Santander. Not only did they lose Burns to the Diamondbacks, he probably took a discount with the Diamondbacks, but they lost Santander to an in-division rival in the Blue Jays, right? We're talking about a team who is young, like you said, have some prolific stars right on the cusp, right? On the pitching side, Grayson Rodriguez. On the hitting side, you have Adley Rutschman, who is arguably already one of the best catchers in the game, right? So this is a young, up-and-coming team, and instead, your best free agent acquisition is Tomoyuki Sugano, who is a 40-year-old pitcher from Japan. Are you fucking kidding me? To a 1-year deal, mind you? That's just bad. That's just bad. And we're talking about an AL, an American League that is wide open. Anybody in the American League can come out there and sneak into the World Series. I'm serious. I'm not gonna. All right, fine. We'll discount Chicago White Sox and we'll discount the Angels. Okay, you happy?
Yes,
Oh,
very happy.
good. Okay, good. So they were literally just a few pieces away from being legitimate contenders. Go out there and re-sign Corbin Burns. If you don't re-sign Corbin Burns, go out there and get another pitcher, maybe a Blake Snell, maybe a Max Fried. Do something.
Yeah. There's
No,
also
no.
yeah. Real quick, like another like I'm gonna go to another winner. Like I know I'm kind of glazing them, but because they're my favorite team. But I'd say the Yankees. They did what they had to. They lost Soto, but they capitalized off of losing Soto. They got Cody Bellinger. They got Goldschmidt. Even though he's old, he's still a good asset to have in the team. Max Fried, Loizaga,
Traded for the best closer in the game.
Devin Williams. It's these huge like mini things to help you build around a team, which is good. A good win. Obviously, the biggest winner is the Dodgers, but this is just I'm saying a big loser to a whole division. The whole division that I'm talking about is the NL Central. I mean, what the fuck are they? Do they know what to do? Like, I swear, during free agency, they just sit at their desk like this and play fucking like bingo on fucking the computer. It makes no sense. It doesn't add up. Like Milwaukee.
Some really, yeah.
What the?
Some strange teams in that division, like for example, Milwaukee. You can kind of say that they had the division on lock and they kind of just let every single person go, right? They let Willy Adames go. They traded Devin Williams. They let go. They didn't re-sign Frankie Montas. Their biggest acquisition was in trades, with Nestor Cortez probably being their biggest acquisition. That's not a winning success in an offseason plan. I will say, though, on my point of view, I think the Cubs are one of the biggest winners of the offseason. They made a lot of very interesting moves. They lost a lot of people. They traded Cody Bellinger away. They lost some of their, higher profile veterans. They traded Isaac Paredes away. They lost Kyle Hendricks. However, at the same time, they've made some really good strides on a team. They traded for Kyle Tucker, one of the best outfielders in the game. They traded for Ryan Presley, old, but still one of the best closers in the game. They signed Matthew Boyd and they traded for Eli Morgan, bolstering their pitching staff. I think they had a very impressive offseason, a little sneaky good, because not a lot of people were talking about it besides the huge trade with Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
So I thought they were one of my winners, and then I'm going to go on the flip side of it to one of my biggest losers, the Miami Marlins.
Oh, God.
They just continue to suck dick.
Yeah.
Not one penny spent. Unless you're counting minor league deals, which I'm not.
I'm not either.
Not one penny spent. And on top of that, they traded away arguably their best pitcher to an in-division rival, Jesus Luzardo, to the Phillies.
Sickening.
Do they want to lose?
I don't know if there's like a god coming in the draft or something like that and they want the number one pick. But
no wonder why Jeter quit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in that organization either. They're a bunch of fucking losers.
Dude,
Same thing with another loser, and I know some of our fans aren't going to like this because I know a couple already who are Pirates fans, but the Pirates are big losers too.
They've been big losers. When have they ever been winners?
They're disgraceful. Their biggest acquisition this offseason
what are you gonna say?
Was Adam Frazier. A 1-year deal.
He's like, what is he, like 35, 36?
Do you talk about horrific owners? Horrific owners. That if I'm a Pirates fan, low key, I'm risking going to jail for life just to kill him.
Me too. For once, I actually agree with you, and I would help you with that crime.
Because you also have the offensive rookie of the year and a future Cy Young in Paul Skeens. And they asked him in the offseason, have you discussed long-term contract plans with the Pirates? And he said, and I quote, they have not reached out to me about it.
Idiot. Fucking morons.
So you know what's going to happen, Pirates fans? I know you don't want to hear it. In 2 to 3 years, when his contract's coming up, he will be traded.
And it's going to be...
And you will be on suicide watch.
No, I honestly think if Paul Skeens gets traded... that stadium's not going to exist.
It's just ridiculous because some of these teams, they draft really well. The Pirates are one of them.
Yes.
Paul Skeens, Tyler Glasnow, Austin Meadows. You drafted...
Garrett
Cole. You drafted so well, and yet you trade all of them.
It's like they don't love to be happy.
Sure, you know what? Last offseason, you had some sort of happiness because you were able to re-sign Brian Reynolds. who, by the way, is a very, very, very good outfielder that they were able to get for cheap. But on the same flip side of that, they signed him to an 8-year, $106 million deal. That is the richest contract in their franchise's history.
We need a whole video, a whole podcast about that rebuilding the Pirates.
Like, it's just sad. It's sad to see because these are passionate fans. I've personally been to Pittsburgh. I've personally been to their games opening weekend at home, and they were loving. The fans are so passionate, but my God, does their owner suck dick?
He needs to, honest to God, I think it needs to be in our Dallas situation. As long as he's still there, they're gonna be bad.
It's such a shame. And then on top of that, I wanted to mention one more winner because I know we mentioned quite a few on both sides of the ball, right? Losers and winners. I thought another sneaky good winner was the Diamondbacks this offseason.
I agree.
Right? They got Corbin Burns, who was by far one of the most coveted starting pitchers out there, and they got him to honestly take a little bit of a discount to come home, which is a huge win. And then not to mention, sure, they lost Christian Walker, who is on the older side, but then they traded for Josh Naylor with the Guardians. So I thought they made some really good, small moves where they can definitely at least make a run in the NL because the NL is going to be tough with the Dodgers.
They're in a tough division too.
They're in an extremely tough division with the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants, who are always sneaky decent. Yeah. We're not counting the Colorado Rockies because they may be the worst team in the MLB. But still, right?
Pirates are sneaking up on that, man.
The Diamondbacks rotation, I'm loving it. Zach Gallen, Corbin Burns, and I know I'm missing one. I apologize. But, very sneaky good team who I think could make a decent run.
If you break down that entire, division's pitching staff, it's fucking insane.
It's very good.
God.
It's an extremely good. And we're going to get more into the MLB as well for all our viewers. All these sports that we're talking about, we're loving it because football ends, sure, but all these other ones open up.
And if anything, all these, football is obviously a big focal point, but all these, MLB is going to start up. As soon as football ends, all these other sports get bigger and bigger and bigger.
We promise we will talk about all sports, including championship darts.
Yeah, I fuck with
but
darts.
There is one sport we will not talk about. I will not talk about golf.
Why? Golf is so interesting.
You can talk about it while I'm off camera. But nonetheless, we can move on, Derek.
All right. So that concludes Dean's mini segment of just Dean's thoughts. We'll call it Dean's thoughts.
Sure.
And we're going to go on to my dumbass thoughts.
Derek's thoughts.
But for once, I think this is actually a good thought that a lot of people are thinking of, but it was just in my head.
Okay. Are we saying with the same thing where I got a quick answer?
You don't have the quick answer. You just did a quick answer because it was a stupid question I asked.
Well, I'm expecting them to still be stupid answers. Stupid questions.
It's not. All right.
I'll be the judge.
All right. So the one and only question for Derek's thoughts is, what do you think sports should do as going forward with streaming platforms, MLB with Apple TV, the NFL with Max, Prime, all these other platforms? Do you think they should keep on doing it, or do you think the NFL is losing fans, and all these other sports are losing fans by this? See, it's not a bad question.
Loaded question. First and foremost, regardless of what I think, these sports leagues, they're not going to stop doing it.
Yes.
Right? There's too much money involved.
Yeah.
They're making too much money. When it comes to the NFL, they're fucking going on to Netflix. But then you have Amazon Prime, right? Then you have, all these different types of platforms. You go to the MLB, you have Apple TV, right? So do I think they're going to stop doing it? No. No, because there's too much money involved. Do I think they're pissing fans off? Yes. Right? Do I want to have to watch a playoff game on HBO Max.
No.
No. No. I want to sit down on my fucking couch, drinking my beer with my pants off, watching a game normally on television that I don't have to pay an extra subscription for. That's just my perspective. Almost every Friday night in the summer, the Yankees are on Apple TV.
Horrible.
And I can't watch it.
Horrible.
Because I don't have fucking Apple TV. And I'm not going to pay for Apple TV for one night a week. So instead, I have to piss and moan like an impotent girl and not watch my team on a Friday night. It's stupid. I think these sports leagues should have one centralized location on top of cable television channels. So you got cable, YouTube. I would count YouTube TV in that. I would also count Hulu TV in that because those offer a wider range of channels.
Mm-hmm.
I would offer it on those if anybody wants to purchase those different things because not all people have cable. I don't have cable, but I do YouTube TV. So that's okay to have. And then I would have one centralized platform for your league where people can pay yearly or monthly, whatever they want to do, in order to have that subscription, and then they can watch the games on it.
Yes.
I don't want to pay Apple TV on a Friday night in the summer when I'm having a beer outside on my deck to have to watch the New York Yankees.
That's fair enough.
That's stupid.
I 100% agree with you. The thing, because how I was seeing it is this is like, obviously you're 100% right. The money, it's never going to change. But it sucks because, as you said, and also this pisses me off. I love ESPN. I love when it all started. But when they created ESPN Plus, I want to blow my fucking brains out. Because when I want to watch a fucking, say for example, there's a college football game on. And it says, oh, it's on ESPN Plus. Okay, I'm expecting, if I'm paying for a fucking subscription, I can watch it. No, you cannot view this game. You're not zoned in that area. Fuck off! I'm paying for the fucking money. Like,
that's another thing, right? Because all of these sports leagues have to combat with the local TV channels. So to your point, when they're on an ESPN Plus or when they're on a TNT and TBS and they're in your local area, they get blacked out.
what the fuck is this?
Sure, you want to black out my game? Don't blame me then when I go have half a bottle of scotch and I get blacked out myself. It's stupid.
It's
Figure your shit out.
But the thing, that's the problem. That's why it popped in my head is that the way sports is nowadays is that this is never going to get fixed.
It's all greed. It's all money based.
But you came up with a great idea, which I didn't even fucking think of, is like NHL, a certain program to where a subscription that you could pay to watch the games. Like they have, like obviously in the NBA they have League Pass. They have I don't know what it's called for.
But in League Pass you still get blacked out locally.
I know.
Which see if you're gonna have a centralized platform, which you should, right? NBA League Pass, good for them. NFL has NFL Red Zone, right? You want to pay for Red Zone's awesome. We love Red Zone, right? MLB Network sucks ass. Yeah, just my opinion.
Oh, agreed.
NHL Network could be the most disgraceful thing to come into all of sports. Horrific. Absolutely fucking horrific.
Agreed.
So if you're going to create these different types of platforms to be in one centralized location, at the very least, fucking negotiate with these local providers so that the game doesn't get blacked out. How's that?
I
Appease your fan base. Appease your fan base. Because if I don't want to pay for cable, but I want to pay for NBA TV, God damn it, I want to watch the Knicks every night.
See? It's you're 100% right. Greed. Oh, no, I wouldn't even say like it goes down to the general managers of like the sports. I think it goes down to the owners of like.
It goes down to the owners. It goes down to the commissioners, and I'm not going to place all blame on them. It also goes down to cable companies.
Fucking Verizon, Optimum.
Because they're greedy as shit too. Like for example, I know this is just a local thing, and I know it's only affecting me and a handful of people in the New Jersey and New York area. But if you have Optimum. Or if you have, what's the other one? Xfinity, you can no longer watch MSG.
Are you serious?
Because they're a bunch of greedy pricks, and they wouldn't negotiate a deal between MSG Networks and Optimum.
That's horrible.
They're a bunch of greedy fucks. So in this perfect world, right? Then I can go onto NHL Network and watch my game. Wrong, blacked out. So instead, I have to pay for another subscription called Gotham Sports, which, by the way, their whole app sucks dick because it has so many different problems. It's a fucking mess. It's a fucking mess.
No, I 100% agree. And the problem is none of this shit's gonna get fixed. Like,
No, nothing is going to get fixed.
the worst one that actually is starting to piss me off. Don't get me wrong, I love it for all the shit I could stream off of it, but having watched sports on it is annoying as fuck. Is Peacock.
Yeah.
That shit. Ooh, that shit. Okay, I get heated. That shit's so fucking annoying.
Having to watch a sport in your local town on a local game is like living in Soviet Russia.
It is. It's fucking bad.
It's easier to go onto an illegal streaming service and watch Russian ping pong at 2 a.m. in the morning Eastern Standard Time in the United States than it is to try and get a game, Knicks versus Nets on TNT.
The fucking bad thing is that you're so right. Is that and also YouTube, for example, YouTube TV. They obviously are starting to restrict a lot. They're being fucking little bastards too because they don't want fucking. They're obviously not paying for MSG when YouTube has a plethora amount of money to where they could do that. They're not paying for the Yes Network, which pisses me off.
Not to mention all of these platforms that we've mentioned.
Yeah.
YouTube TV, Netflix, Peacock, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, all increasing their prices.
Horrible. I feel like, honest to God, like, this might sound crazy. I feel like my pockets are getting raped.
It's disgusting. Somebody's out there, if you're listening, and you know what? I'm going to start looking into it now too. I'm going to create a free platform that everybody can watch their games on.
Okay.
And the only thing that comes to me is ad revenue.
I fucking love it.
If anybody's ever watched the Family Guy episode out there, when the cable companies started to piss Peter off, he created Peter TV in his fucking garage.
Yeah.
This is what I will be doing.
I'll join you on this.
I'm gonna connect a line to the telephone line outside my house, and I'm gonna stream live to all the wonderful people of the world.
It would work better than like Max, Netflix.
Easily.
And the problem, this is the last thing I want to say about it, because I'm actually getting pissed off, is, for example, Netflix. They thought they were good when they did the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight, right?
Yeah.
That shit didn't even fucking work. Even the sports games, even the NFL fucking Chiefs-Steelers game, I was trying to watch it, but it was cutting out.
If you're a platform and you were lucky enough to negotiate a deal with one of these major sports franchises in order to get your game onto their platform, you should have the bandwidth to show the fucking game.
Yes.
If I'm going to go onto Netflix for a fucking NFL playoff game, I better be able to watch it without any buffering.
Exactly.
But no.
I'm getting live alerts on Reels.
That's not allowed. That's not allowed. Our happiness isn't allowed.
No.
Because we have to pay extra.
I'm going to get a notification on Sleeper or on fucking one of my fantasy apps before I see it on fucking TV.
It's just astounding. It's just really is. You know what? Shout out to Stream East out there because you're better than...
Yes. God bless Stream East. That's my Lord and Savior. Please actually work again. Please.
It's just ridiculous. But whatever.
All right. Well, that was my thoughts. I feel like it got a lot of speaking anger out because I think we both had anger towards this. But that does conclude Derek's thoughts. And Dean, I think pretty much we covered a lot today.
We did.
Is there anything else you would like to bring up that I didn't bring up that I messed upon?
Nothing that really catches my mind there, little Derek.
I'm taller than you. I'm not little. I'm taller than you.
We'll talk about the Super Bowl next week for sure, as the Pro Bowl is coming up this week. But I'd rather castrate myself than watch that.
Me too.
Because no, you know what? Not even gonna take the bait. Not gonna even talk about it.
I want to talk about it. Actually, I want to talk about it.
We're not. No, absolutely not. Fuck off. We're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. No, fuck off. Nope, fuck off. I say we end this podcast and we go to my favorite segment.
All right, Dean. For once, I'll agree with you because the Pro Bowl is pretty bad. We will go to Dean's favorite segment, Dean.
Which is Baller of the Week.
Oh my God! It all stayed in. Holy
Really?
Yeah, because it wasn't that high pitched. It was perfect.
Yeah,
I tried to keep. It was squeaky.
Yeah, I tried to keep it a little bit low this time, just for the fuck of it. But I appreciate it. Derek, I think I've gone last at least the last few times, so I'm gonna let you go. I went first the last couple of times. I'm gonna let you go first this time.
Okay. All right. Well, Dean, I'll start off as what you just said, but I'm gonna go outside of sports and outside of anything involving sports, pretty much. I'm gonna go to our editor, my brother. I will say this: I'm a dumbass. I fuck up a lot, and this man is underpaid. Mind you, we're a small channel, but I do pay him because he spends his time and effort.
Let's the word pay very loose.
Pay. When this podcast skyrockets, I'll write him a nice check. He'll be happy. But I do appreciate him for doing all the shit he does for the podcast. Obviously, edits the videos, helps me with the TikToks, helps me doing this shit because he does do this. He's been doing this his entire life. So, my baller of the week, which I hate to boost his fucking ego, is my brother and our editor. His name will not be disclosed, but that's who it is. That's my baller of the week.
I do want to say to the viewers, not only is this poor gentleman our editor, right? He has the unfortunate luxury of having to live with Derek every day. So I want to give an extra special shout out to him because, God willing, if I was Derek's brother, I would have killed him already.
That's fair enough.
So, good ball of the week. Good ball of the week, Derek.
Thank
our
you.
editor, you are definitely...
saved us.
Yes, thank you, sir. Going to my ball of the week, I mentioned her earlier. I think it's only fitting that she has to be my ball of the week. In the tennis world, Madison Keys winning her first ever Grand Slam final this past week in the Australian Open. Like I mentioned, beating all of those insane seeds to get it up to it. First seed, second seed, 10th seed, 18th seed, 25th seed. Just having the absolute tournament of her life at the age of 29. Could not be more proud to watch her in this latest Australian Open as an American, not only as an American, but just watching her perform at the highest of levels and finally reaching the plateau of her career. It has been a long journey. For anybody who doesn't know, she only made one final previously in her career, and that was in 2017, where she lost in the final. So it has been now not almost, 7+ years since she made it back to a final, and this time she finally hit the winning circle. So want to give a shout out to Madison Keys. We love you. Great job making all U.S. women proud, finally getting us back on the plateau. Showing that we could still do, not to mention Coco Gauff last year, but this is Madison Keys' moment. Great tournament. Hopefully we could see more of this from you in the future.
I was just going to say, hopefully more tournaments to come from both of them to make America win
Shut
again.
up.
I just said win again. Relax. I just said win again.
Okay.
All right. Well, that concludes this very eventful episode of the Double D Report. Obviously, I'm going to be posting more shorts. Obviously, I need to ideally do, and I need to stop being a dumbass and interact with you guys more. So I'm going to be creating polls and shit for us to talk about because I feel like my thoughts on like the topics are getting bland. I want you guys to give me some ideas on shit to bring up. So I think it's good interaction with you guys. And eventually, maybe one day, we'll do like, when we get big, we'll do like a live stream. We'll do this live and have that interaction with you guys. That's
when we big he goes.
Yeah, we will. It's just optimism, man. You gotta think positive. But
Ooh.
Dean, anything you want to say to sign us out? Anything important?
No, this is the first different podcast of many, everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed us talking about all different types of sports because, we don't want this to be an only football channel because that would be not only boring, but you don't want to hear our dumbass takes every week on football. So we're going to be opening it up to all sports moving forward. So hope you all enjoy. If you have any sports questions, baseball, basketball, hockey, tennis, bowling, Russian table tennis, darts,
Golf.
feel free to no, fuck off. Feel free to hit us up, and we're happy to answer those questions. We will even start looking into sports on ESPN The Ocho just to talk about them. But yeah, this was a fun podcast, the first of many.
Yes. And next week we're going to be going into how bad the Knicks are, the Rangers are. I'm kidding.
Oh, you fuck.
I'm sorry. I had to throw a chat.
The Knicks not only are on a 4-game win streak, they just beat the Denver Nuggets tonight. So you know what? Put some respect on their name.
Fuck the Knicks. All right, this concludes this podcast. Like, subscribe, follow on TikTok, Instagram, and more shit and bigger shit will be happening on this channel. So, peace.
Fuck you, Derek.
Fuck you.